Greetings, seekers of hidden knowledge, and welcome to Overheard Nation. Are you ready to uncover a secret that the history books decided to leave out? The Great Emu War. In the year 1932, amidst the global turmoil of the Great Depression, the nation of Australia faced an internal crisis of a most unusual nature. In the vast farmlands of Western Australia, the government prepared for a conflict not against men, but against an unorthodox and formidable opponent. The land, already strained by economic hardship, was pushed to its breaking point by a massive seasonal migration. An army 20,000 strong descended upon the region's wheat fields, systematically destroying vital crops. This invading force consisted of emus, the giant native birds of the continent, driven from the interior by a severe drought. For the region's farmers, many of whom were veterans of the Great War, the situation was desperate. Faced with agricultural ruin, they appealed to the government for a solution. The bizarre and unprecedented military operation that followed would be immortalized in history as the Great Emu War. The roots of this strange conflict were planted in the aftermath of the Great War. The Australian government had established a soldier settlement scheme, providing parcels of marginal land to thousands of returning veterans. These men, having survived the trenches of Europe, now faced a different kind of battle, cultivating the harsh, unforgiving lands of Western Australia. Their primary crop was wheat, and their livelihoods depended entirely on a successful harvest. The situation was already precarious, but in the spring of 1932, it became a crisis. A massive population of emus, estimated at over 20,000, began its annual migration towards the coast for breeding. Their path led them directly through the newly developed farmlands. The emus consumed and trampled the wheat, but more destructively, they broke down the rabbit-proof fences that were vital for protecting the properties. The large gaps they created in these fences allowed an invasion of another pest, rabbits, leading to even further agricultural devastation. The soldier settlers, possessing military experience, saw a military solution. A delegation of these farmers approached the Minister of Defense, Sir George Pearce, with an unusual request. They did not ask for financial compensation, they asked for the deployment of machine guns, arguing that the birds would make for good target practice. The minister agreed to the deployment. The decision served multiple purposes. It was a way to be seen as providing aid to the struggling veterans, a potential propaganda victory, and an opportunity for military training. The government's conditions were that the military personnel would be transported by the army, but the farmers themselves would have to provide food, accommodation, and payment for the ammunition. With the term set, the stage was prepared for one of history's most peculiar military engagements. The military operation commenced on the 2nd of November, 1932. Major G.P.W. Meredith of the 7th Heavy Battery of the Royal Australian Artillery arrived in the district of Campion. He was accompanied by two soldiers, Sergeant S. McMurray and Gunner J. O'Halloran. Their arsenal consisted of 2 Lewis automatic machine guns and a formidable 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Their mission was clear: to wage war against the emu population. The expedition was initially hampered by rain, which caused the birds to scatter over a wider area, but soon the soldiers had their first opportunity. A flock of approximately 50 emus was spotted. The soldiers, assisted by local settlers, attempted to herd the birds into an ambush. The plan, however, proved futile. The emus, displaying a surprising tactical awareness, split into small, fast-moving groups, rendering the machine guns almost useless. The first engagement resulted in only a handful of birds killed, a deeply unsatisfying outcome for the amount of ammunition expended. It was an inauspicious start to the campaign. A more significant engagement occurred a few days later, on November 4th. Major Meredith's party located a flock of nearly 1,000 emus near a local dam. This time, a new strategy was employed. One of the Lewis guns was mounted onto a truck, with the intent to pursue the birds and fire on the move. What ensued was less a military action and more a chaotic chase. The truck struggled over the rough terrain, unable to gain on the swift-footed birds. The ride was so bumpy that the gunner could not fire a single steady burst. After a pursuit of several miles, and with the birds having sustained no casualties, the attempt was abandoned. The mechanical weapon of modern warfare was thoroughly defeated by the simple biology of its target. The frustration of the soldiers was palpable. Major Meredith observed the resilience and maneuverability of the birds with a mix of professional admiration and exasperation, noting their strange ability to absorb wounds and continue running. The experience led him to a now famous conclusion about his foe's durability. He stated, "If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world." The initial military operation was a resounding and embarrassing failure. On the 8th of November, just 6 days after the campaign began, the Australian House of Representatives convened to discuss the matter. Following the debate and the extremely negative media coverage, the Minister of Defence, Sir George Pearce, ordered the withdrawal of the military personnel and equipment. The first chapter of the Great Emu War was over. The press had a field day. News of the Australian military's defeat at the hands of large, flightless birds spread internationally, becoming a source of ridicule. One conservationist in the Australian Parliament sarcastically asked if a medal would be decorated for the emus who had won the war. The public perception was that the army had been made to look foolish, and the government's decision to engage in such a campaign was widely mocked. Despite the withdrawal, the problem for the farmers had not disappeared. In fact, the emus continued their destruction of the wheat crops with impunity. The farmers again pleaded for support, citing the hot weather and the ongoing devastation. Under intense pressure, Sir George Pearce reversed his decision and, on the 12th of November, ordered the military to resume the offensive. This time, the army returned with a renewed, if reluctant, sense of purpose. The second phase of the campaign saw a moderate degree of success. The military adopted more effective tactics, learning from their earlier mistakes. The engagements were more carefully planned, resulting in a higher kill rate. By the 2nd of December, reports stated that approximately 100 emus were being killed per week. Major Meredith's final report on the 10th of December claimed a total of 986 kills with 9,860 rounds of ammunition, a rate of exactly 10 rounds per confirmed kill. He also claimed that a further 2,500 birds had died as a result of the injuries they had sustained. While the numbers were more respectable than the initial fiasco, the overall operation was hardly a stunning victory. The military campaign was officially ceased in December 1932. The soldiers and their Lewis guns were recalled, and the formal engagement known as the Great Emu War concluded. When all was said and done, it was clear that the army had not achieved a decisive victory. The emu population, though slightly diminished, remained a significant problem for the farmers. The government, abandoning military solutions, turned to a more practical approach. A bounty system was introduced, offering financial rewards directly to hunters for emu carcasses. This new policy proved far more effective than the military intervention had ever been. In a 6-month period in 1934, over 57,000 bounties were claimed, a number that dwarfed the Army's results. The Great Emu War thus became a peculiar lesson in history, demonstrating that sometimes the most effective solutions are not found in military force, but in simpler incentives. The story remains a strange and often humorous testament to a time when men with machine guns declared war on birds, and the birds, for all practical purposes, won. Thanks for exploring this secret with us. For more stories forgotten by history, subscribe now and hit the bell so you never miss the next investigation.